Welcome back to our Yokomo MS 1.0 Touring Car series, where we take this thing and make it the best carpet racer we can. Now, a lot has happened since part one, mainly that we've broke the car twice already. Now, what happened is, as we were wrapping up that video, the track layout was about to change, and I wanted to drive just a little bit more. So I went out there, putting down some decent laps, and then I hit one of the pipes, kind of gently. But then I noticed the car was driving a little weird, and I pulled it over and noticed one of the dog bones had pulled out of the outdrives. And the pin protector on that outdrive was not there, and the outdrive had actually flowered open. Now, considering we didn't hit the pipe that hard, I was really surprised at the damage. Now, thankfully, these outdrives are easy to access, so we pulled it out, and what it looks like, my guess is, the drive shaft pin protector came off, and then that flowered open the outdrive. Now, these outdrives have a dual design on them, so you can run them without the pin protector or with. So that's why they have the 4 different slots. These outdrives are steel, but I think that design actually weakens them a little bit. Thankfully, the drive shaft bone, though, did not bend. At the time this happened, those steel outdrives we couldn't get, so we bought these aluminum outdrives instead, and they came with this little note, which, if I'm interpreting it right, just means that the pin protector in the outdrive is going to be a little tight. You don't need to do anything to it. It'll break in within a pack or two. Now, on the scale, the steel outdrives weighed about 9 grams for the pair, and then the aluminums weighed 3.6. And since the aluminum outdrives are not quad notched, I'm hoping that they'll be a little bit stronger than the steel ones. Now, with the outdrives fixed and the car buttoned up, we went out to the track one last time before it was to change to an off-road layout, and everything was going great. We were putting down good laps, I was feeling my groove, getting tighter and tighter in the turns, but apparently I was going a little too tight, and I grazed the sweeper at high speed, and it just gave me a little bounce out, and I smacked into the outside pipe here. And it was a pretty loud, hard hit on the car's right side, and that broke the car once again. Now, all we broke here is the steering block, nothing else. The bone didn't bend, the drive shaft pin protectors didn't pop off, and the front outdrives were okay. Now, the previous issue with the outdrive and the pin protector, that didn't seem justified for how hard we hit the pipe. But this time, this was a legitimate hard hit, and I'm surprised the steering block was the only thing to break. So now the car is fixed, it's ready to drive, and we have a brand new on-road track layout. So let's charge a battery and put down some laps. Something that's kind of funny about a new layout, mainly when they have just switched it from off-road, is that the knobbies on the off-road buggies tend to like groove up the carpet. So when you put an on-road car on there, the carpet kind of pulls around the on-road car. It's really strange. It's got like waves in the carpet, so your car doesn't feel quite right. It's like pulling to one side in sections. It's really weird. The carpet will break in, but those first few days, it's just kind of a trip. Anyways, this is an interesting layout. It's got a lot of straights, fast sweeper, and our car feels really aggressive. It just has so much front steering. The front end like dives really hard into the corners. It's rolling hard, and when it's diving into some of the corners, it feels like almost that inner rear tire is lifting up. There's just too much steering. The car would also slide out through the S sections if I didn't stay on power a little bit. I already had the dual rates set to 70%, but we also added minus 20% expo, and that helped us out a little bit. Now, our transponder was not recording for some reason. I'm not sure why, but that's okay. A goal for the car, though, is to tame the front end down and just make it less aggressive and a bit easier to drive. A couple of side notes, the motor felt a little warm. I'm thinking I would like to try one tooth down. And interestingly enough, when we brought the car back in and got the body off, another drive shaft pin protector is missing. Why is this happening so much? You touring car guys watching this, is this really that common? I did bump a few pipes, but it wasn't that hard. The aluminum outdrive does look a little worn too, but then when I threw on a new pin protector, the tolerances seem okay. I think it's gonna be fine. Now I want to check out the car, and we're going to put it on a setup station, which I've personally never used, but everyone says they're a must for touring cars. So we bought one of the cheapest you can get, the Yeah Racing, and it's pretty darn nice. It has a carrying case, it uses bearings, and all the pieces are aluminum except for the plexiglass toe adjuster. There is some assembly, but it's pretty easy and quick to do. And this setup station will show us our camber, our toe, and our caster settings, which will be really helpful for our toe because it's adjustable in the front and rear, and that's harder to precisely measure without one of these tools. So, funny enough, when I built the car links, I made them to the exact measurement of the manual specs, but things are still off a little bit. With the camber, we have almost 2 degrees on each corner except for the front right, which has about 1.5. We should have about 2 degrees all the way around. For the rear toe, the right side is almost 4 degrees, and then we've got 3 degrees on the left, and we want about 2.5. The front toe is also off a little. We've got about 1.5 degrees on the left and about 1 degree on the right. On the front toe, though, we want about 1 degree of front toe out. So that's done, and I double checked the ride height. Now for the aggressive steering, there's a few different things we can try. I picked up some parts. We've got harder front springs. These are 1.95. The kit ones that are red are 1.9, so they're just slightly harder. And then we have a 1.1 rear sway bar, a 1.1 front sway bar, and a 1.2 front sway bar. The car has a lot of roll with all that traction, and I think these sway bars and springs may help out. We can also try just moving the battery back. The first thing I think we'll try though is just these harder springs, and then we'll recheck our ride height. I just want to plug in the programmer, see what's going on, because we haven't done that yet. Let's bump that up. All right, so not a whole lot we needed to do. Just double check it was on the right profile and then set our BEC voltage higher. Oh yeah, I bought 1 tooth smaller pinion gear, a 41.
13.9. 14.2.
So those harder front springs did make quite a bit of a difference. The car was just a little bit easier to drive, a little less steering, diving a little less hard into the turns.
13.8.
It was slightly more manageable. So definitely in the right direction of where we want to go. And I'm thinking next, let's shift that battery weight back. So there's only one set of holes to move back, and it's probably only a few millimeters, but we'll weigh it too to see the difference. Wow, so that changed our weight bias to 51% in the back. So moving the battery back did feel a lot better. The car is a little bit more balanced and it's a little less edgy. We still have a lot of steering though, and we still have issues where if I steer a little too much off power, the rear end just slides out. Now we got a tip from a fellow racer, Todd, who's on our track crew, and he gave us the tip of turning down our dual rates way down. We've been at 70% on the dual rates with minus 20% expo, but then we put our dual rates down to only 40% with no expo, and the car doesn't make tight turns, but going around the track, it's good enough, and it made a massive difference in how stable and controllable the car feels. I would have never thought of trying this, so thank you to Todd for this tip. Sadly, we don't have the lap timer going because they're oval racing tonight and people are practicing out there, and they've been playing copywritten music in the track area, so we turned off all the audio. But as far as our car is going, it is definitely feeling fast, and I feel really confident in pushing the car and getting into a groove. It's feeling a lot more easier to drive, and this is the best the car has felt so far, and I'm really happy with where we are with doing such minor things to it. We just changed the front springs, moved the battery back, and then made some adjustments in our transmitter. Now, we have some bad news though, because I broke the car again. Our cameraman was on my left, and coming down the front straightaway,
the car just disappeared out of sight for a moment and I couldn't see it and I went right into the wall. It was just the steering arm that broke again, but it's the left side this time. Thankfully, it's an easy fix. So that's it for today, guys. I'm Brett from AMain Hobbies, and thank you for watching. Go check out our car and all the things we've talked about in this video with our links down below. Or if you want more RC videos, check these out.